Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 199, 12 Years a Slave, which is a biography drama history film from 2013. This has an 8.1 on 578,031 votes. The spoiler-free synopsis. In the years before the Civil War, Solomon Northup, a free black man from upstate New York, is kidnapped and sold into slavery in the South. Subjected to the cruelty of one malevolent owner, he also finds unexpected kindness from another, as he struggles continually to survive and maintain some of his dignity. Then, in his 12th year of the disheartening ordeal, a chance meeting with an abolitionist from Canada changes Solomon's life forever.
Alright, so this is directed by Steve McQueen. He hasn't directed a lot of feature-length films. It's been a lot of short films. But the feature-length ones he's done is Hunger, Shame, and Widows. Alright, and I'm going to apologize right now if I say his name wrong. It stars Chiwetel Ejiofor. That's our Solomon Northup. And Dwight Henry and Dickie Gravois.
And Michael Fassbender. Just because I like him.
Yes, he's a pretty big part in this one, too. Well,
yeah.
Second half of it.
Yeah. And it's also got,
It's got a lot of big names in it, but they have, very small parts.
Yeah, it's got Benedict Cumberbatch, who we've had before in our superhero event in Infinity War. And then,
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Brad Pitt, which we'll have him again later. And also Paul Dano, who we had in Prisoners.
Yeah.
So that's his second movie. I don't know if he'll have any more. Our ratings. IMDb, 33.1% of users rated this as an 8. The under 18 age group rated this the highest. Metacritic, it has a 96. Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 95 on 353 critical reviews. So Two of the Fresh, Jay Hoberman. 12 Years a Slave is, like The Trial, a trapdoor over the abyss. Although less abrupt than Kafka's novel, the movie wastes little time before plunging its viewer into a nightmare of dehumanization. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Huddleston. The cumulative emotional effect is devastating. The final scenes are as angry, as memorable, as overwhelming as anything modern cinema has to offer. Yeah.
Agreed. Completely.
I was only able to find one rotten because Rotten Tomatoes was making me mad. I couldn't get it to load more reviews, so I only found one rotten.
That's alright.
So Scott Marks, in its own saintly manner, it's as explorative as anything critics accused Django Unchained of being, minus Tarantino's eye for idiosyncrasy and sense of humor. Well, I haven't seen Django Unchained for good reason. In my opinion, good reason. So, I can't speak to that.
I have not seen Django Unchained either. I have not. I've been wanting to, because it's got Leo, but I just haven't gone around to it, so I can't say much to that.
Yeah. So, the consensus is far from comfortable viewing, but 12 Years a Slave's unflinchingly brutal look at American slavery is also brilliant and quite possibly essential cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Alright, so the income. The budget was $20 million. Opening weekend, it had 2 of them. It had a limited release. It made $923,715. And then its wide release, it made $6,675,731. And it was in 1,474 theaters for 203 days. Domestically, it made $56,671,993. Internationally, it made $131,061,209 for a worldwide total of $187,733,302. Made quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
Internationally, which is not much different than most movies. Most movies make way more money internationally.
It's true.
So its all-time domestic rank is number 1,475. So not very high, but not super low either.
No, it's kind of how do I put this? Not like your typical blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
It's probably why it didn't go very high as it should have.
Yeah. So the awards, this won 3 Oscars. It had 238 other wins and 330 other nominations. Like before with the other ones that won a lot, we're going to talk about the big ones. So the Oscars, the Golden Globes, and the BAFTAs. The 3 Oscars that it won were Best Motion Picture of the Year, Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role. That was Lupita Nyong'o. I don't know if I said that right.
I don't know either.
But she's a good actress. I like her a lot.
Wow. She's amazing.
And then Best Writing, Adapted Screenplay, John Ridley. And then it was nominated for Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role, Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role, Best Achievement in Costume Design, Best Achievement in Directing, Best Achievement in Film Editing, and Best Achievement in Production Design. Those were the ones that did not win. So for Golden Globes, the only one that it did win was Best Motion Picture. So the big award it won. It was nominated for Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture, Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role, Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role, Best Director, Best Screenplay, and Best Original Score were the ones that was all nominated for. The BAFTA Awards, it won Best Film and Best Leading Actor. And then it had special nominee, 2 of them. The Anthony Asquith Award for Film and Music. Hans Zimmer was nominated for that award. And then the other special nominee was David Lean Award for Direction. Steve McQueen was nominated for that one. And then its other just general nominations were Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, and Best Production Design. So you can just only guess that most of the other awards gave it all of those. Like it actually won all of those in other award ceremonies.
Yeah, probably.
So, initial thoughts.
I actually remember the first time I watched this.
Me too.
It was right after the Oscars.
Oh. Well, yeah, because you like to watch the Best Picture winners.
I do. I like to watch the Best Picture winners, especially the newer ones, right after they come out. And, my goal is to watch, most of them. So I was like, well, I gotta watch this one. And Logan was like, I want to watch it too. I'm like, all right, so let's do it. So we watched it. That was gut-wrenching. Yeah. And, I'm like, whoa. I'm like, yeah. It was just so blunt and brutally honest and just incredible.
Yeah.
It's a great film. And I didn't even know about, Solomon at all. I didn't know that was a book.
I did know it was a book. So I read the book first. And actually, this is one I like the movie a lot better than the book. Normally, for me, that does not happen, but this one I do like the movie a lot better than the book. There was some times when it was hard to watch. Like, it's just crazy that... I know it happened, but I'm just like, how can people be this cruel? Like, how could this have actually happened? Like, I don't agree with slavery. I never have, never will. I've always thought it was the dumbest thing in the world ever since I was little learning about it. I was like, oh my god, how are people so stupid? And then you get to see it firsthand in this, and it's just ingrains it even more in me how ridiculously bad people are.
It's like people. There's individuals that are good.
Yeah, individuals are good, but people as a whole, we're not good.
No, at all. I have always thought that too.
But yeah, the acting in this movie is really great. The music is amazing. The story is done really well. I felt like they put in the important parts of the book. The direction is really good. And let me tell you, I like Michael Fassbender as an actor, and he makes me absolutely hate him in this movie.
Oh, I couldn't stand him in this movie.
So, yeah, I liked this one a lot. It was good.
Yeah, I would completely agree. Ugh.
So I think that's all we've got for initial thoughts.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
That was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So you've got a bunch of people kind of standing around in a field. And knowing the nature of this movie, you know that they're slaves. And then there's this guy, like, telling him what to do.
He's showing him it's a sugar plantation, cane sugar.
Yeah.
And he's showing him how to cut it correctly and all of that. And
like the way it needs to be done so that it can be done properly.
yeah.
And get the most out of it. And I thought that this was... I'm just going to do this one little comparison here.
Go.
From the book. I thought it was cool how they were able to show how to cut the sugar, because in the book he goes into like these full, long explanations about how to cut sugar and how to cut corn and how to do all of these things. And I like how they incorporated it into the movie and made it kind of more cinematic rather than just an explanation of this is how you do this.
Yeah.
Which is how it was in the book.
I mean, he was just, he's like, probably a lot of people don't know how to do this, so I'm going to write it in here.
Yeah. I understand, because the book came out, like, this is an actual true story. Like, this guy wrote this book after he became a slave.
It came out in the 1850s.
Yeah. So, like, it actually happened.
Yeah.
Not only is it based on a book, it's actually based on true events. So.
Yeah.
They're learning how to cut the sugar cane and everything. And we just kind of see them going through their, like, daily life for a few minutes. Like, we see them working, we see them at dinner time, we see them at bedtime. And these are, like, some of the worst living conditions I've ever seen in my life.
Sleeping on the floor. Everyone's huddled together.
Yeah.
Lots of people sharing one little thing.
Yeah. It's not very good. And we also see him trying to write. Like, he has this feather that he's trying to use something to write with.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if it shows it right now, but it shows it way, way later. He's trying to use blueberries.
Yeah,
blueberry juice.
Yeah, it's the blackberries. It does show it at the beginning. It does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It shows like he sees that the juice is like dark enough so it almost looks like ink, and so he's trying to figure out a way to use it to write something down to, get his get someone to know what's going on with him.
Yeah. When they're in their like quarters for bedtime, he's laying next to this woman and she like rolls over and takes his hand and pleasures herself with it, but then she rolls back over and cries.
Yeah. I was like, okay then.
I was like, having read the book, I know that he's married, so I know he didn't want to do this, but he just kind of did it anyways.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing that she knows that he didn't want to do it, and that's why she like rolled over and cried.
Probably.
Or she was just like, that's like the only pleasure that she could really get, and so that's why she did it.
There's that too.
I don't really know what was going through her mind at that time.
Yeah.
So.
And then it flashes after that. It goes to like years before, where he's actually with his wife and everything. And
yeah. He's got a wife. His 2 kids.
Can I say it now or should I wait?
Go ahead.
In the book, he has 3 children.
Yeah.
Not 2.
Yeah.
Okay. I was reading the book, watching the movie. I'm like, wait a minute, we lost a child here.
Yeah.
But that happens all the time in movies.
Yeah. There's a lot of times when people have a lot of kids in books, and then they have like very few in movies, just because child actors are not the easiest to work with sometimes.
True.
And a lot of times, depending on how young they are, they have to be twins.
Yeah.
So.
Because, labor laws and all that.
Yeah.
C.C. Solomon's living, like, his happy life up north.
Yeah.
Free man. He plays the violin beautifully.
You just see him kind of, like, having, like, he's living his normal life because just having fun, hanging out with his family, playing them some music and stuff. And, his wife is going away to work or something.
Yeah.
Like,
she works as a cook at this place for, like, a few weeks.
And she has to be gone, and she's taking the kids with her. So, he's gonna be on his own, so they're saying goodbye and everything. And, so, he's out, I guess, on the town. Like, he goes out and plays his violin places to make money.
Yeah.
And he runs into these 2 people, Brown and Hamilton, who they go talk to him, and they're, like, talking to him about a circus that they want him to join. And they're saying that he'll be back in a certain number of time. They just need him for the circus for these few days.
Yeah, they need someone for the music part of it.
Yeah. To play the music in the circus.
And that they'll pay him, like, a bunch of money.
Yeah.
To go with them.
Yeah. So, they take him to dinner, and they're talking to him about it and everything. And he starts to feel kind of wonky, I guess, because he starts looking like he's feeling that way.
Yeah. Because they had traveled to, was it Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where they're eating, and he feels like, feels a little weird.
Yeah. And he just kind of, ends up passing out, I guess?
Yeah.
Something like that. And he wakes up in chains. It's just, like, doesn't even know what's been happening. Like, what happened the night before, how he got there. And the guys come in and are talking to him, saying that he got too drunk the night before. And then he's trying to tell them that he's a free man. Like, he let him go. He's free. They can't do this. Because basically those guys, Brown and Hamilton, tricked him into slavery.
Yes, they pretty much kidnapped him and just, like, sold him into this slave pen in Washington, D.C. And that's where he's at.
Yeah.
And the guy who's there, was it Birch or something?
Yeah, I think it was Birch.
And he's like, you're not free, you're just a Georgia's runaway. And he's like, I am from the North, I'm a free man. He's like, well, you got no papers.
Yeah, they're like, where are your papers if you're free?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, first of all, y'all captured him when he wasn't expecting to be captured, so...
Exactly.
How's he gonna have his papers on him?
Right? And so he just keeps trying to tell them that he's free, but they get like, no. And so they start like beating him.
Yeah.
First it's with like a paddle, and then it goes to the, it's kind of like a whip, like a Ninetales.
Yeah. They're trying to beat it out of him that he thinks he's free.
Yeah. He just takes it.
Yeah. And we also see there's a kid there.
Yeah, the next day.
And they're like getting all cleaned up and everything, and they're out there.
Naked.
Yeah.
All naked. I was like, oh, okay. That's alright. I'm game for this.
And they're cleaning up the kid, and the kid's saying that his mom is gonna come. And they're like, you don't want your mom to come. Your mom's not going to come and save you. But mom does come, and they take mom and her daughter captive. So now they've got the two kids and the mom.
Yeah.
To sell into slavery. They're talking about how they're going to get ready to, like, they're going to travel that night. They're going out on a boat.
Yeah.
So they leave that night. And they put them, like, they lay all of them down, and there's probably, like, 6 or 7 of them that they took, at least from this area. And they've got them laid down in this wagon, and they covered them with, like, this big, huge blanket thing.
Yeah.
And that's your first thing, like, okay, you guys are not doing anything at all legal, like...
So shady.
You are so shady. Like, first of all, you kidnapped all these people... And now you're traveling them at night, covered up in a wagon. Like, if somebody watches this and doesn't understand that this is a bad thing, then I don't know where their head is at. Because you've gotten all the clues that this is not a good thing.
No.
All of them. So they take him over to the boat. And we see there's a whole bunch more people on the boat.
Yeah.
That have been taken from other areas near here. And they're going to go sell them down south somewhere. And one of the guys is talking to Solomon, giving him advice on how to survive this.
He's like, don't tell them that you're free. Don't tell them that you know how to read and write, because that's not a good thing.
Basically, just don't tell them anything.
Just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. Like, because there's no point.
Exactly. There is no point to it.
Yeah.
So you're just going to get yourself hurt. And killed if you tell them that.
Yeah. So, they're sailing and stuff, and one of the guys comes down, one of the guard people comes down and wakes up the woman, and we already know what he's about to do, but so do the other guys that are down there, the other people that are about to be sold into slavery. So they go over to the man and stop him from taking the woman.
Yeah. One of them does.
Yeah, one of them. And he kills him.
Yeah, he gets stabbed. And you're like, oh, sad day.
Yeah. It's the next day, and they're at the port where they're going to be sold to their people. Like, taken to the people that are going to go sell them.
So Clemens is the guy talking to Solomon about how, like, keep your mouth shut, don't do anything. The person calling out for Clemens is actually Clemens' master. And Clemens had said, oh, he's going to come for me, and he does.
Oh, okay.
And then, so, everyone else gets unloaded, and it's Freeman is the one who's calling out names. And he calls out Platt.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Platt.
Platt. Because everyone else has answered to their names and everything, and he calls out for Platt. And Solomon's the only one left sitting. And he's like, Freeman goes up to him, and he's like, why didn't you answer? He's like, my name's not Platt. And he, like, smacks him.
Yeah.
And so now he has to go by Platt.
Yeah. So they take him to the place where they're going to sell them from. And they're like washing them off and making them look good so that they can display them.
Yeah.
And some of them are displayed naked.
Yes. I noticed that too. Some are displayed naked, some aren't.
Yeah. So then we see Ford, he is played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yep.
Cumberbatch. He's coming in to buy some slaves, and he only wants to buy Platt and Eliza, which is the woman that has the kids, but she's begging him to buy her kids too because she doesn't want to be separated from her kids. But Freeman is saying, no, you can't have the kids too.
Well, mostly because the little girl is mixed race. She's not...
Yeah.
She is both African American and white. Because her father was a white man.
Yeah.
And so he's saying, I can get a lot for her.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not messed up at all.
Yeah.
And then, like, the son gets sold off separately, too.
Yeah, because they think that they can get a lot out of him because he's so young. So they're like, I can sell him for a lot, too.
Yeah.
So Ford can't really afford to buy both of them, so he doesn't buy the kids. Even though Eliza's begging.
He tried.
Yeah. He was gonna try, but then Freeman's like, you can't afford them.
No.
So they leave, and they get to the plantation, and you see Eliza's just, like, mourning. And I mean, I understand. She just got separated from her kids. She's probably never going to see her kids again.
Yeah. Probably not.
Because that's how it happened a lot, is they would separate the parents from the kids because they could get a lot more money for kids than they could for the parents. And they didn't even care about the parents and the kids being separated because they didn't see them as people.
Nope.
Which is ridiculous.
It's property.
This movie just makes me so mad.
Oh, I know.
I hate it so much. Like, I don't hate the movie, but I just hate how it makes me feel.
At least it does something. It stirs an emotion. I think
Yeah.
that's what Steve McQueen was going for.
Yeah.
So, after they get back, the next day, Solomon's, with the rest of their slaves, and he meets the Tibbets.
Yeah.
Tibbets and, Chapin? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
One of them is Tibbets is a slave, because, he's, part carpenter, part, helps with the slaves, and, Chapin is the overseer.
Yeah.
And I can't believe, I was like, how can Paul do this? With, not getting angry at himself. I mean, gosh, this is such a messed up song.
Yeah. And he's just making them clap along while he sings about it.
Yeah, saying, oh no, you shouldn't escape, and all of that. And I was like, oh my god, you just used the N-word, I don't know how many times the N-word was dropped in this movie. I should have counted.
Somebody probably did.
Probably.
Honestly.
I mean, this just happened so many times. I'm like, good lord.
Yeah. And so we see him, working, and Also, we see they have like a little church service type thing. And this is like kind of all while that song is going on. Like he's singing the song in the background and they're working and stuff.
Yeah, they're
Like-
chopping wood and all that.
Yeah. So you just see them kind of going on through their daily life and what their daily life was. There is one point when Solomon is doing something, like working somewhere, and they come across some Native Americans,
Yeah.
and they invite them, and they have like a little fire and a dance.
And food, and yeah.
Yeah.
They do that. And then there's this one time where Solomon goes up to Ford, and he's like, you know, you could probably cut down a lot of things if you just transport the, like, lumber through the river.
Yeah. And Tibbets is like, no, you can't do that. That's a waste of time and energy.
And Ford's like, give it a try.
Yeah, he's like, if you think you can do it.
And it works.
Yeah.
Because back up north, a little background from it, he said that he used to do that.
Yeah.
Transport lumber through the river. He's like, I've done it before.
Yeah, so he's like, you can just do it, like, I'll show you. And he does it, and is able to show them that this actually does work. And Tibbets is mad, and Ford is like, good job.
And he gives them a violin
Yeah.
for it. Because that was one of the things that helped him get sold. I know that sounds terrible. Was because Freeman boasted that Solomon's a good violin player.
Yeah. So now he can, now that he's got the violin, he can continue doing his music and stuff, which makes him happy.
You know, I mean, you can't be completely happy in your situation there, but you know, at least
Yeah.
Ford's not like a huge dick about everything.
Yeah. Whereas Tibbets is like the biggest.
Tibbets is just a crazy madman.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that in a little bit. So it talks about Eliza and that's the lady. She her and Solomon share a cabin, and she just going on. She does not stop crying at all.
Yeah.
She just keeps going, and he's like, you know what? You should be happy at least that you're like, this is not as terrible as it could be. You know, Ford's like a decent person.
Yeah.
And she's like, he knows you're probably a free man, but he's not going to do anything about it. It's like, you're just a prize in a way. You're prized.
Yeah. And they just kind of yell at each other.
Pretty much. She's like, let me mourn my children.
We see Ford holding church again out in the little... They just kind of...
It's like a Sunday service, kind of.
Yeah. It seems like that all of them do it. Like all the slave owners, the plantation people. It seems like they all do it, because later on when he's on a different plantation, that guy does it too. We only see it once or twice in the whole entire movie. Then, I guess it's like either later that day or the next day, or... The timeline's kind of weird on this, because they're covering 12 years in a matter of 2 hours, so...
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of a wonky timeline. I don't understand, like, half the time you don't know if it's the next day, if it's a week's later, me... Like, you have no idea.
Yeah, so Eliza gets sold off to a different plantation because Ford's wife's like, oh my god, she's driving me freaking crazy with her crying.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see why. I can. Because the woman does not stop crying. Like, at all.
Yeah. And that's... For him being a plantation owner, that's bad for business for him.
Yeah.
So that's why he sells her and gets rid of her.
There's a whole thing with Tibbets and Solomon.
Yeah, Tibbets is giving him a hard time.
Because Solomon's put to work with Tibbets. Because Solomon has a carpentry background.
Yeah.
And Tibbets is like a crazy madman. He literally gives, like, Solomon so much crap for, like, doing, like, basic things.
He does, and he's just, like, he's just doing what he's told to be doing, and Tibbets is like,
just like that.
Exactly.
Just like that.
Well, because that's how most of it sounds. Like, it's completely useless. Like, why are you griping at him? So that's how it sounds.
In a way, yeah. It's like, there's this one time where, Tibbets tells him, like, he's like, you need to go do this and all that, and Solomon's like, okay, so he does it, and then, like, the next day he comes back, he's like, why didn't you do it? He's like, I did.
Yeah.
And he, like, throws a big ol' fit at him. He's like, you know what? If there's something wrong, it's probably something wrong with the instructions.
Yeah.
That's what Solomon says to Tibbets, and Tibbets just, like, tries to...
He just gets so mad about it, and like, well, that's your fault, so...
Like, he literally, like, tries to hit him, and Solomon's not gonna back down from that.
Yeah.
And Solomon's a much bigger man, and so he
Yeah.
easily pins down Tibbets.
I think they did a good job, like, of casting in that part, because, you know, the guy that plays Solomon, he's a pretty big dude, but then they got this guy, like, we saw him in Prisoners, he was, like, a teenager, or, like, a young adult, and he's a really small person. And so the size difference is a really good thing there, and I think they portrayed that really well, because they kind of explained it a little bit in the book, but not very well.
I'm looking. I want to see the size difference. I'm looking at heights here. Because the man playing Solomon he's like 5'10", 5'11", and, oh, that's funny. So Paul's actually taller.
Oh, really?
Yes, but he doesn't look like it, does he?
No, he doesn't, because the guy that's playing Solomon just looks so much bigger.
I think it's because he's just broader shouldered and everything, and he looks bigger and taller, but Paul is actually taller than him. But he just seems so scrawny and, like, weak, and all he has is his, like, words. And when it's put up to actual, like, physical strength, he's got nothing.
Yeah. Because he's a real scrawny dude.
Yeah. Good actor. Just scrawny. And so Solomon had him pinned down, and the overseer comes, Chapin, and he's like, Solomon lets, Tibbets go. He's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And Tibbets is, like, so pissed. He's like, oh, I'm gonna get him and all of that. And Chapman's like, don't move. I'll get him to the bottom of all this and everything.
Yeah.
So, after this, a little while later, Tibbets comes back with these two guys on horses, and they tie Solomon up, like, bound him up really good, like, hands and feet, and they put this noose around his neck, and they try to hang him.
Yeah. Well, and they kind of do.
In a way, yeah.
They just don't get him up high enough to where it'll actually hang him. Like, he's still able to get his toes on the ground, so he's able to stop himself from completely being, killed.
Yeah. And the overseer comes, and he's like, draws a gun on him. He's like, you should not be doing that. You have no say in that. That's not your property, as he's telling him.
You didn't pay for him.
Yeah. He's like, that's Master Ford's and all of that.
Yeah. And so he runs Tibbets off, and then he just leaves Solomon hanging there. And the others come outside, and they see him hanging there, but none of them can do anything.
Yeah.
Like, because if they do something, they're going to get a punishment that's just as bad.
There's one woman who comes and gives him some water.
Yeah, she does. She, like, sneaks over there, and then she runs off.
Yeah.
The kids are over there playing near him, like there's nothing going on. I'm like, how can you see that and just do nothing?
Nothing.
God, I just,
Yeah.
And Miss Ford just stands there and watches. Like, she's standing over on her porch, and she just sees him hanging there and doesn't do anything either.
Nope.
And then Mr. Ford finally is able to get over there. Like, he finally gets home and is over there, and he cuts him down and takes him into the house to kind of protect him a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, because he's like, there's no rest until he gets you, in a way.
Yeah. So he says he's gonna sell him because he has no other way to protect him. He's got to get him off of his plantation, because if he doesn't, then Tibbets is just gonna keep coming after him until Tibbets kills him.
Yeah. And I think it's this part where Solomon lets slip to Ford that he's not what he is.
Yeah, it tells him he's free, and he's from like up north in like New York area and Washington area.
And Ford's like, oh my god, I did not just hear this.
Yeah, Ford's like, don't tell me that.
He's like, because he would get in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, big trouble. Because technically that's against the law to do that.
It's against the law to own a free man.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, I know nothing. La 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 la. That's literally what he did.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, good job there. Good job, Ford.
Yep. So this is when he sells him to
Epps.
Yep, Mr. Epps. He's out there lecturing his slaves on how they are supposed to be doing their jobs and what he expects of them.
Yeah, this is Michael Fassbender's character.
Yeah. And he does such a good job at it that I hate him so much in this movie.
Oh, I absolutely hate him. I was like, wow. I actually like you as like an actor, but man, great job. I hate you so much.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that's how you know an actor is really good, is if they can make you absolutely hate them. Yes. When they're actually a really good actor. That's how you know that they're doing their job really well.
Agreed. Like, you could see why he was nominated.
Yeah. They're out there picking cotton and stuff. Platt's not very good at it, because they go and weigh their cotton at the end of the day, and there's a specific amount that they're supposed to have to be worth their while, I guess.
Yeah. I think it's like 200 pounds or something.
Something like that, and Platt's at like, what, 75?
Yeah. It's like the man just started, and he doesn't know how to do this, so.
Yeah. And Patsy, this is Lupita Nyong'o. This is her character. She's not very... I mean, it's like, she's super, super good at it. Like, she ends up picking, like, 500 pounds daily.
Yeah, because she's that amazing.
Yeah. And she's, like, Epps' favorite.
Like, favorite. Wink, wink.
In all the ways.
Gross.
We do see Patsy out making some dolls out of, like, corn husks or something.
Yeah.
Grass. So, Epps comes in, like, the middle of the night and wakes them all up, takes them in the house, and makes Solomon play his violin while the rest of them dance.
Yeah. The man has a drinking problem, if we didn't know this already. Epps is an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And this is during one of his drunken things. He's like, I want my slaves to be dancing and all that. And
yeah.
And Epps' wife, she's an amazing actress too, by the way.
She is.
Was it Sarah Paulson?
Yeah.
Amazing. Like, I'm like, I hate you so much right now.
I love her as an actress, but I hate her in this movie. And this is not the only time that I've hated her in a role.
She's that
like,
good.
She's made me hate her. So.
She's that good.
Yeah.
She is.
But she comes in and she doesn't like Patsy because she knows that her husband does like Patsy. And so she throws a decanter at Patsy.
In her face.
Yeah, hits her in the face with it.
And she starts yelling at Epps. She's like, you need to sell her.
Yeah.
And he's like,
why would I sell my best cotton-picking slaves, what he calls her. And I'm like,
Well, I could agree with him on that. But
Yeah.
for other reasons, I can see why she's pretty pissed off.
yeah. She's mad at him. She's like, if you don't sell her, then she's gonna leave. Which she threatens that multiple times throughout the rest of the movie. She's like, if you don't sell her, I'm gonna leave. And then she just never does.
No, because he was always like, oh yeah, and go back to that terrible place you were before. Okay.
Yeah.
They talk so much shit to each other. Like,
They
what a
do.
great marriage.
And, so I guess it's the next day and they're all picking cotton and everything. And, Miss Epps goes up to, or I guess Mistress Epps. That's what they keep calling him
Yeah.
in this movie. Goes to Platt and she asks him to run errands for her. And gives him a list of things that she needs from, I guess, kind of like the grocery store, kind of.
Yeah.
She asks him if he can read, and he says no.
Because he looked at the list.
Yeah.
It looked like he was reading it.
Yeah. So he's running into town, and he comes across a bunch of men about to hang two, I'm guessing they're slaves.
Runaways, yeah.
Yeah. And they talk to him and ask him, like, what he's doing. And he shows them the list and says, I have to go get this for my master. And they're like, okay, well, you best hurry on. And he starts running away, and he kind of turns around a little bit and sees, and they hang the two slaves that had run away.
Yeah.
And based on just this movie alone and my little knowledge of what it was like being a slave, that seems like a better option.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, take your chance running away, see if you can get it free. So he gets to the little store thing and gets the stuff that he needs and heads back. He has to go... The next thing I have is that he has to go get Patsy from...
The Shaw.
Mistress Shaw. And,
Because Patsy's there, it's like a Sunday or something where they get a little bit of time to themselves. So she
Yeah.
goes over there and sees Mistress Shaw, who is actually a former slave that the Master Shaw married.
Yep. And, she's telling a story to Patsy about how she became a mistress and what she did. And she's saying that it's not the best thing in the world what she did, but it's better than what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
Better than what Solomon and Patsy are doing.
She's like, I don't have to pick cotton.
Yeah, she's like, I may not be as happy as I want to be, but I'm happier than I was. I'm safer than I was.
True.
Which, that's another good option, too. I mean, it's not the best thing in the world, but when you have so little options, you pick what's the best.
That's true.
So they head back to their plantation, and Solomon tells Patsy not to even pay attention to Epps and go back to her cabin or whatever.
Yeah, because Epps is completely drunk, and he thinks that Patsy just goes over there just so Shaw can have her.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. And he doesn't want Shaw to have her because she's his. And so, Epps sees that Solomon had said something and asks him and like yelling at him, saying, what did he say? And Solomon's not going to say, so Epps is threatening to cut his throat, and he's chasing him around the plantation.
Yeah.
And Miss Epps comes and puts a stop to it. She starts yelling at Mr. Epps. So later that night, Epps, my guess is he's still drunk, goes in and takes Patsy out of the little house and takes her and has his way with her.
Yeah.
And Platt sees that Patsy gets taken out. But there's not really anything he can do or she can do. Like, Epps was already trying to cut his throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, just some more dancing.
Because, was it Mistress Epps? She goes up to Patsy and just, like, claws her face, like, dig
She
deep.
does.
I'm like, oh, snap.
Like, what in the world?
I was like, oh, shit. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Was it later that night also, where Patsy goes and talks to Solomon?
Yeah, later that night, she goes and asks him to kill her because she can't do it anymore. She can't sit there and pretend that everything's okay when she has to go pick 500 pounds of cotton a day and then come over here and be Master Epps' fuck buddy.
Pretty much.
She doesn't want to do it. She'd rather be dead than have to do this. Especially because she's getting treated like crap and attacked by Mistress Epps just because Master Epps likes Patsy better.
Yeah. It's a rough life there.
Yeah. And he says he's not going to do it. He says he can't. The caterpillars killed all the cotton.
Yeah. And so
Plants.
he has to let them out. And this is where we get the sugar cane thing.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, they get sent to the sugar plantation. That's where you see from the opening scene.
Yeah. They're working for Judge Turner.
Yeah.
And Judge Turner says that he's gonna go let Solomon go and play at this thing and keep his earnings from this party. He's gonna let him go play his violin there and keep his money from it. I'm like, well, that's kind of nice.
It's like, yeah, go play for them. You keep whatever you want to and all that. And
Yeah.
it's a nice time.
Yeah. And, so yeah, he's over there working for a while, and they show it really well how he is a lot better at this than he is at picking cotton.
Yeah. Because cotton is, like, very precise, very, I don't know.
A lot more finesse involved.
Agreed. And
Rather than with cane, you just chop it and throw it.
yeah, which is easier to do.
Yeah. They get done at the sugarcane plantation and go back over to Epps' plantation, and Patsy's hurt. Her eye from where Mistress Epps scratched her is like all the blood vessels in her eye have popped. It's like super red and everything. It's crazy. They showed that real quick.
This is like, this was the creepy part. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, you see that Patsy's like, her eyes are red and everything, and you see Epps is walking around. You see he's not wearing pants.
Yeah.
And he has this other little girl by the hand. And he picks her up, he's all treating her all nice. I'm like, that's not gross and weird at all.
Yeah.
That disturbed the shit out of me. I was like, oh my god, stop.
Yeah.
Ugh. Gross.
So they have, there's this guy, his name, I think, is Harms? Something like that?
Armsby.
Armsby.
Yeah.
I don't know why I heard Harms.
It sounds like it.
So he's over there and he's helping out, because it's like years later, I'm guessing now. He's over there helping out, picking cotton and stuff. And he's not very good at picking cotton either.
Yeah.
And so Platt asks him, well, Solomon Platt, same person, asks him for help, asking him if he can take a letter for him to the post office. Like, he'll write the letter if Armsby will take it to the post office and mail it.
He's like, I'll give you everything I've saved up from playing.
Yep. And so he agrees to, but then later that night, Epps comes and talks to Solomon about it.
He's like, I heard word that one of my slaves is knows how to write and is trying to convince a man that to send a letter for him. He's like, looking at Solomon. He's like, what's going on here? And Solomon like flips it on Armsby. He's like, oh, he's just a drunken liar.
And he's trying to become your overseer.
Yeah.
He's trying to show that you need an overseer because he's trying to tell you your slaves are running out of control and stuff.
And Epps is like, oh, alright, that makes sense.
I'm like, that's a good way to flip it and save your life.
Yeah, because Solomon's not stupid.
Yeah.
And so it's like, then, like, Solomon had this letter, like, ready to go.
Yeah.
And so he has to burn it.
Yeah. So they're working out in the field, and one of the people, it looks like he passes out, but somebody goes over and kicks him, and trying to get him up, but he doesn't get up. And so they bury him. They have a little funeral for him.
And it's singing.
Yep.
I was like, I know this song. I was like, as a school teacher who teaches all kinds of different types of music, I know that song.
So they're out there, I guess it's probably a few weeks or months later or something, but they're out there building some, but at the time you couldn't really tell what it was, but they're building a gazebo.
Yeah.
And there's a man named Bass out there helping him out.
That's Brad Pitt's character.
Yep. And Epps is offering Bass some alcohol, and Bass is like, no, I'm working. And he calls him out on how he treats his slaves. Just like telling him that how it's wrong and explaining to him how the Bible sees it, and Epps is like, well, this is how I interpret the Bible.
Yeah.
And then he's like, basically just giving Epps like a really hard time saying that slavery is against the law in God's eyes. And he's like, no, it's not.
Yeah. Because Bass is from Canada, and he's, in a sense, an abolitionist.
Yeah.
And then you have deep South, like Louisiana slave owner. That's going to be conflicting.
Yeah.
Gotta talk about Patsy now.
Yeah, Epps is out there yelling for Patsy. Yelling at all the women, like, where's Patsy and stuff. And they're saying that she had she comes back, and she tells them that she had went to the Shaw plantation to get soap because Mistress Epps won't give her any. And she's saying that she just smells so bad she can't even get up in the morning without getting sick from how she smells, and she just wants to be clean.
Basic human thing.
Yeah, and he thinks that she's lying, so he starts whipping her. And this was so hard to watch.
And he was gonna hit her, technically.
Yeah.
But he makes her get tied to the post and everything. He can't do it. And so he makes Platt do it.
Yeah. And Platt does it, but he's not doing it very hard, and so Epps is yelling at him, and he's got the gun in his, like, pulls a gun and puts it in his face and says that I'll kill you if you don't hit her harder. So Platt starts hitting her harder, and then he just stops, and then Epps takes the whip and starts whipping her. And just like this entire thing, it was just so hard from the moment he's like out there yelling for her to when they take her down off that tree and are like, actually even further than that, when they're trying to patch up her back and you see how bad it is. Like, you can see the muscles and the bones.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. Good effects there, for real.
Yeah, it's really good effects, but
there.
It's really gut-wrenching. Like, it's so hard to watch.
Agreed. It was hard to watch. I remember the first time I watched it, I had to turn away for a little bit, because I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. And like right before she is taken off the tree, they do show the shot of her dropping the soap. And I felt like that was really important because it's just like they just whipped all her basic needs out of her at that point in time.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't even have the strength to hold on to her soap.
As like the one thing she gets whipped for, a piece of soap. I'm like, how ridiculous is this?
Yeah. That was so hard to watch. And this point in time, like, this has made Solomon so upset. And he just wrecks his violin. Just completely wrecks it.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a few days later, probably, he's out there talking and working on the gazebo thing with Bass. And he's talking to him, and he tells him, he determines that this is someone he can talk to, and he tells him that he's not a slave. That he is a free man.
And, like, Bass is like, you gotta tell me everything now. I need to know.
Yeah.
He's like, you just can't tell anybody.
Yeah, he's like, can you please help me? And Bass agrees to help him out. So, there's a man that comes to the plantation looking for Solomon.
This is like months later.
Yeah. Because we see Solomon working for a while. See some little bits of him working and stuff. And so, it's Mr. Parker, which is someone he knew from New York or Washington or wherever it is he's from.
Yeah.
I think it's New York.
Yeah, it's New York.
And he just goes and runs over and hugs him because he knows this man. This man knows he's a free man. And he never thought he would see him again. He never thought that he would be able to be free, and this is his opportunity.
And there's the sheriff, too, there, and the sheriff's asking him questions like, okay, so what's your real name?
Yeah.
You know, what's your children's names? What's your wife's maiden name? You know, like all these questions that only he would know about, and he answers them all correctly.
Yeah. And before Solomon leaves, he wants to say goodbye to Patsy because he wants to make sure that she's doing okay and stuff, because it's been months since she had that really bad whipping, but it was a really bad whipping, so she's probably still got a little bit of damage, and so he wants to say goodbye, but Epps is like, no, you're not, no, get out of here, like, he's just mad.
He's losing one of his good slaves, I guess.
Yeah. So, then we see Solomon get reunited with his family, and it's been 12 years, so his daughter and son, they're all grown up. His daughter is married and
has a son.
Yeah, she named him after her dad, so his name is Solomon as well.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like a really sweet thing. A really sweet gesture. That's kind of the end of the movie. Then we see some stuff, like it pops up when things are true stories. Says that he helped with the Underground Railroad.
Yes.
And helped free a lot of slaves. And that the date, place, and circumstances of his death are unknown.
Yeah. And then he tried to get, sue his kidnappers and all of that, but
Yeah.
in Washington, D.C., he could not testify against them. Because, he's a black man. You can't do that. Because Washington, D.C. at that point was still a slave area.
Yeah. But yeah, they all got off and didn't, they did go through the trials, but they all got off and didn't get any punishment for it.
Nothing.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I read that I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Oy.
So, the music. This music is composed by Hans Zimmer, who's one of my favorite composers. Pretty much literally everything he's ever done I like. A lot. He is currently working on The Lion King that's coming out next month, July 19th. Wonder Woman 1984, which is coming out in 2020. The SpongeBob movie, It's a Wonderful Sponge, is coming out in 2020.
Nice.
The Top Gun Maverick movie, which is coming out in 2020, and Dune coming out in 2020. So he's got a lot on his plate right now. He got his start on a movie called Superhero in 1982. He did win one Oscar in 1995 for Best Music Original Score for the original Lion King.
Woo!
Yes. So it makes sense that they brought him back for
The live action.
the live action Lion King.
Yeah.
Because he did such a good job on the first Lion King. Why not bring him back? Hans Zimmer is also known for Gladiator, which came out in 2000, the entire Dark Knight trilogy, and Dunkirk, which came out in 2017. When I heard this music, I just loved it so much, because I didn't do my research before I watched the movie. I just watched the movie, and I was like, oh, this music is just so good. And then I was doing my research, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. I was like, that's why I liked it so much. I don't care how bad the movie is. It doesn't matter. Like, Hans Zimmer just does amazing work with music. He's a really good composer.
I would agree with you. I would. There's great music in this movie. It
Yeah.
fit well with it.
It did, and it also, like, played on your emotions that you were feeling when they were happening. Like, at the end, when Patsy's getting whipped, there's some really emotional music going on during that entire time. There's some really emotional music going on when he gets reunited with his family. Like, he just does a good job of playing with what's in front of him.
Oh yeah, that end always makes me tear up.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So, comparison, we kind of did it a little bit
Ooh.
in, like, during the episode.
Yeah.
But this was a book based on true events. Like, he wrote this after he had become a slave, and he got freed and wrote this. I don't know if he wrote it after he was freed, or if he somehow managed to do it while he was enslaved, because there's some details that are very vivid that I'm just like, I don't see how you could remember it that 12-year span that vividly, but then also I've never been in that kind of a situation for 12 years. So
I think he wrote it after he was
Okay.
out, but I think he had such a good memory, and that's what kept him going. Just remembering
sense.
everything.
that makes sense. So yeah, like Jess said, he did have 3 kids, not 2.
Yes.
What else?
Like I mentioned, like he did other things besides, the violin playing. He did some carpentry work. He did some other
Yeah.
stuff. So
I just like how they presented it in this, because in the book, I listened to the audiobook, so it was really just kind of like someone explaining all of these events to me, and the guy that was reading it was kind of monotone.
oh, I'm sorry.
Like, he had a little bit of differentiation in some parts, but for the most part, it was kind of monotone, and that's probably why I didn't like the book so much, is because I couldn't, like, that's the thing I don't like about audiobooks, is I can't put my own imagination into it, because there's someone reading it to me. But I will say, the guy that was reading it kind of sounded like the guy that's playing it in the movie. Like, it didn't sound exactly the same, but he sounded very similar, so
Huh.
there was that. But it was just kind of slow moving in the book, whereas the movie was very fast paced. Like, I did not once think that this movie was too long or going too slow.
No. I would agree with you. I mean, I liked the book. I did. I'm glad I finally got to read it all the way through. For me, it was actually a pretty quick read. It was. I got through it, like, really quickly. It's only like 22 chapters long. It's
Yeah.
like me, like not even a day to get
Yeah.
through it. To me, the book was easy to read and quick, but I guess I don't know. And like the subject matter, I mean, because I'd already seen the movie before, so I kind of
Maybe
knew what
that's-
happening was going to happen and all that stuff. I mean, there's some differences, you know, like missing children and
Yeah.
like some things from the book were not in the movie. Like they weren't on like the boat; they were on like a couple different boats, not just one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But stuck really close to the book. I will say that.
Yeah, it did a good job of sticking with it and getting the important details and things that needed to be portrayed. So, trivia?
It's like we've been talking about a lot of the trivia as we go on. That's, I mean, let's see. Oh, I mean, just like a lot of the actors have been together. Like Benedict and Chiwetel were in Doctor Strange together.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was funny too. So the actor, I've watched this, like I watched the miniseries when it came out. The John Adams miniseries on HBO. That actor is the same actor that played Freeman in this one. And it's funny because in this movie, his name's Paul Giamatti. And John Adams, he is, John Adams, who was a complete abolitionist. Did not have a single slave in his entire lifetime. And then this one, he's a slave trader. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, that's fun.
The only one I have is that Brad Pitt was originally talked to about playing Epps, but he turned it down.
Yeah. I can see why he didn't want to do it. I mean, Brad Pitt actually produced this film. And people gave him crap for actually even being in the film. And he's like, it's a minor role. It's a very minor role that he plays. Bass is like only in like the last part of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he helps Solomon get free. I mean, that's a great thing, but it's not like a big role. Really isn't. This is like a makeup costume thing. So Michael, because he plays an alcoholic in this film, he had the makeup people put actual like alcohol in his mustache. So people would like back off and like have that sense, like that smell of alcohol always on him, so that people would like react to it naturally.
Dang.
I thought that's cool. And this one's kind of creepy. I'm not gonna lie. So that tree they talked about where they're hanging all those slaves?
Yeah.
Well, lynching in a way. It's an actual tree they use for lynching. There's a lot of unmarked graves there.
Dang.
Creepy. Super creepy. But yeah, I mean, we talked about a lot of the trivia as we went, so.
Yeah. So where it has been on the list before, 2010 and 2012, it wasn't out yet. So the 2014 list, it was number 175. The 2016 list, it was number 200. The 2018 list, it was number 199. And as of today, when we are recording, it is number 198.
So it went up a little?
Yep. It's just kind of hovering right around the same spot.
Oh.
So. Previously, number 199, the 2010 list, True Grit from 2010.
Oh.
The 2012 list, A Beautiful Mind from 2001. The 2014 list, Gandhi from 1982. The 2016 list, The Maltese Falcon from 1941. The 2018 list, 12 Years a Slave from 2013. This movie. The list as of today when we are recording, $1 Million Baby, is number 199.
Oh.
So, favorite line.
I have a few. What was it? Where is it? It's one of Bass's lines. Universal truths are constant. It is a fact, a plain and simple fact, that what is true and right for all.
Okay.
I like that one. And then 2 Solomon ones. I will not fall into despair. I will keep myself hardy until freedom is opportune.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite one. I don't want to survive. I want to live.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think I wrote that one down too.
That's my favorite.
I have a few. You let yourself be overcome by sorrow, you will drown in it.
Good one.
Suppose they pass a law taking away your liberty, making you a slave. And then, I apologize for my appearance, but I have had a difficult time these past several years. But I liked that one that you had said.
My favorite one?
Yeah.
I don't want to survive. I want to live.
Yeah.
That's such a classic line.
We'll go with that one. I like that one.
Okay. It's a good one. It totally fits for this movie.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, all the quotes we said were great.
Our rating. What'd you give it?
I love, like, historical films like this. And this was just, like, so gut-wrenching and just so, like, in your face about how awful this could, like, really be. So, I give this a 9.
Okay.
Solid 9 for me. Great acting. I'm like, whoa. Yeah, it still blows my mind every time I watch it, so.
I can see that. I am giving this an 8. Because it is really, really good. I do really like it a lot. It's just one of those that I can't put it up there with my 9s. Because I like my 9s better. I just don't feel like it fits in there with my 9s. Is really the only thing. Like, we don't have any complaints about the movie. It's just the fact that I just don't think it's up there with the movies that I like at 9 and 10.
That makes sense.
Alrighty.
It does. So, I like these type of films. That's why it's my 9.
Okay. So, next week, our movie is Persona, which came out in 1966. And that one, I believe, is in Swedish.
It is.
Will be out next week. And we are officially moving our release day to Saturday instead of Friday. Just a little bit easier to get it out on Saturday.
Yeah. Because, life.
Yes. So, coming up in July, our Harry Potter event will be coming out. That will include the Goblet of Fire, the Order of the Phoenix, and the Half-Blood Prince. We will have Dana and Eric back with us for that.
Yay.
Our 2 guests that were with us for the very first Harry Potter event will be back for a second one. That'll be the only thing out that week of July 31st. We are offering premium. If you'd like to become a premium member, you will get uncut episodes, early release episodes, when I can get them out, and special monthly episodes for $1 a month. For $5 a month, you will get all of that. Plus, you will be able to pick a movie of your choice to join us every 50 movies. So you've still got 4 movies that you can join us for. Special monthly episode for June. The Sandlot will be out on June 30th, which is the Sunday, the very last day of June. That will be out. We picked that one. That's one of mine that I thought was going to be on the list that wasn't, so I was kind of surprised about that. So yeah, that'll be out next Sunday. If you could leave us a rating and a review wherever you get the podcast, that would be great. We'd like to know how we're doing. It'll also help us get some more listeners. We have been going up in listenership, which is really cool. It's awesome.
Yay.
So thank you for sharing with your friends. Keep sharing. If you ever have any questions or comments or concerns, anything you want us to change or anything you like, any opinions you think that you don't agree with, you can contact us. You can email us, message us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, however you want to do it. We will respond. So if you could continue to share the show with your friends, you can find us everywhere. They can find us everywhere. Also, our music is by Audio Binger, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobinger.net. Until next week with Persona. Bye.
Bye!